I have a script which we run through each time because of the way we're running the meeting. So this is Steve Walker, Chair of Pacc. I will do a roll call to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Faith.
Aye.
Peter.
Affirmative.
Jeff.
Here.
Steve.
Yes.
And Joe, who's probably in charge of the whole show anyway, but is not a committee member, but is critical.
Here.
You're here. Excellent. So, in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcast over the Lunenburg public access channels. And this meeting of Pacc is being conducted remotely in response to the COVID-19. The town of Lunenburg is following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Mass Department of Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to avoid the spread. In accordance with the government's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so the public can follow along. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment if there are any members of the public showing up. For Zoom meetings, please note that this meeting is being recorded and attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folk may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything you broadcast may be captured by the meeting. So, first item on the agenda I will be turning to. As we come to any votes, I will do it all by roll call. Okay, so we did the roll call. Are there any public comments, either from the public or from any members of the committee? Hearing none, that means either I'm muted all of you or we don't have any. Let's work on the basis of we don't have any. I have the minutes that Jeff sent out. And I have some confusions, but I'm free to let anyone else speak on them. Hearing none, this looks like the roll call says Pacc members present were me, Faith, Peter, and Steve, and Faith wasn't at the last meeting.
Yep. So I just corrected it while I was waiting for everybody. So I deleted those, and then I deleted, well, not deleted. I deleted Faith from excuse, and then it's in November. I changed it to January.
Okay.
Yep. I just wanted to say I'm sorry that I missed that meeting. We got a call from that my mother-in-law was rushed to the hospital, and so we had to notify the relatives, and by the time we were done doing that, it was too late to join, but I do apologize.
Okay.
My mother-in-law has since passed away a couple days ago.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Under the manager's update, bullet number 1.
Yeah.
A Yule Long, I trust, is some kind of drink, right?
No.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, but
Okay, Steve, why don't you bring it up?
It should probably be something like a rule log.
Right, log.
You log, yeah. Log should be
U-log.
log.
Yep, all right, just corrected that one.
And if you go down to the adjournment, next meeting is February the 2nd, which is fortunate because we're here.
Right. 5:30.
The meeting adjourned at 7, motion by Pete and seconded by Faith, who wasn't even at the meeting.
Right, I'll
I
change
probably
that.
seconded that.
Okay,
Yep, I'll add Steve to it.
and the very bottom line, I believe, Jeff,
I changed it to my name.
excellent.
And corrected the
Okay.
date.
Any further discussion? Anyone have any other points? Hearing,
I made a mistake. We weren't approving January's, we were approving December. So I think I said
Yep.
January, but I meant December.
okay, not a problem. We survive these things. So I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
And seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none by roll call vote, starting with Pete, because my screen just shuffled around. Pete,
Yes.
Jeff,
Here, yep,
Steve,
Yes.
Faith,
Yes.
and me. Thereby passed. Thank you all. On the agenda, we have review of last meeting discussions. Jeff, I wonder if we could go back to sending the agenda out before you send it to the ladies of the town hall.
you know what, I apologize for that. I realized that it was Wednesday, and
Yep.
I wanted to give them more time just in case. But yeah,
Okay,
I'll attempt to try to reach out to you guys sooner, or if you have any items, please send me ASAP.
so if we have them, we should send them by the Tuesday. If Jeff can send it out on the either late Tuesday or early Wednesday, and then we can just move on from there. Everybody good?
Yeah,
Yep.
because they're closed Fridays, and I know the ladies get busy Thursdays in the office, so I try to send it out Wednesday.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so we don't have a review of last meeting discussions. Manager's report. Is the manager present? Oh, hi, Joe. How are you doing?
Hi, I'll try to make this as clear, concise, and quick as possible. And again, this is in no priority order, just things that have been going on. I've been working with Steve Walker on the architectural review of GCP. They had some requirements that they needed to know the cost of. And we reviewed that with Travis, our IT consultant, or technical consultant. No decisions have been made, but we have the information. I worked on the budget with Karen. I know we're going to talk about that, but that's something I've been doing. The basketball games live stream are going very well. We had to change back to one camera because we were having pixelation issues, and we believed it was because of the bit rate. So we changed the bit rate in the camera. We changed the bit rate on the encoder, which wasn't easy. And I changed the bit rate under the output in Castus, and it seems to be working much better. But when we went through two cameras, there was just something went wrong. So we're back to one camera, but always shooting the scoreboard.
Good.
Last basketball game, we had an announcer who was fantastic. It was the new volunteer who's been helping with the basketball, Dan Seminator, knew of a college student. He's since gone back to school, but he had a free night. He came in and I was watching the Facebook live feed, and there were so many comments on how great the announcer was. So maybe we can get him in the future. His name was Chris Kostich. And anyhow, he was fantastic, and we got a lot of comments about that.
If we do that, would we pay him?
We could open up a purchase order to pay him.
Because he's not a videographer under those circumstances.
No, but we could,
Did he
Maybe-
volunteer for the school or for us?
Yeah,
For us?
that's the question.
well, are you talking about the volunteer video producer that I have, or the volunteer announcer?
Announcer.
The announcer, we would have to open up a purchase order under probably vendor services.
Joe,
So-
did he just show up and volunteer?
No, Dan Seminator, the video producer who's volunteering for the basketball games, knew him and asked him to come in.
Okay, so he was recruited then.
Yes.
Okay.
So why don't we wait and see if the issue gets raised and then you can bring it back
What issue?
of him being paid. If he doesn't raise the issue, he's a volunteer, which I'm good with.
Yeah, well, he went back to school, so he's no longer available. But he's someone to keep in mind if we need announcers.
Okay, went back to school somewhere distant.
No, Plymouth State.
Plymouth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's distant. That's somewhere just past New York, right? Certainly
Is that
Certainly west,
Massachusetts
certainly
or,
west of here,
New
right?
Hampshire?
I think it's New Hampshire because
Yes.
I'm friends with his
State.
dad. So
Okay. Okay. But we only have 2 more weeks of basketball left, so that
Oh, okay, so it's probably moot at this point.
we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but I edited the town report for FY20, and I'll bring that up in a few moments. I've been spending a lot of time on programming updates just because it was dreadfully overdue, and it just takes a long time to do. So that's just been updated for Channel 9 and Channel 99. Story time is going well. We have one tomorrow night.
Joe, excuse me, Joe,
Yes.
when was that? Who's going to speak at that? Who's reading?
Bob Pease of the Conservation Commission, Heather Shiroka of the Finance Committee, Tom Alonso of the Selectmen, and his wife Christine Alonso, Christine Foltz.
Okay, I guess we were confused because at the last Christmas meeting, I told you that Deb and I had worked up one on McCloskey, and Muir was going to join us too. And I
Okay.
didn't,
Can we do that in March?
sure, but I just didn't, we need to communicate better on this story time.
Okay.
We're going to cooperate on it.
Okay. Sure. Sure. So that's coming up tomorrow. We had some meeting issues on Zoom, and it still hasn't been resolved. There was a flashing of the video, and it was only having audio left. I spoke with IT to try to get to the bottom of it. I spoke with Castus to try to get to the bottom of it. Castus was monitoring the last couple of meetings, and it didn't happen. So it's still ongoing to figure out what the problem is. So I have no answers yet, but I'm still watching it. There's a selectman meeting tonight, and hopefully that will go smoothly. If not, I'll get Castus back on it. But Castus doesn't believe it's their issue, and IT doesn't believe it's their issue. So we've got to prove whose issue it is. So that's ongoing. I sent out the financial reports to you. Nothing major. There was virtually nothing major in it. I had to add the December interest, which didn't show up in December, it showed up in January. So that was $302.11. We should be getting our quarterly payment from Comcast next month, or I'm sorry, this month. It's usually towards the end of the month. But our bottom line balance at the end of January was $765,225
And 72 cents.
and 72 cents. I also sent out with the packet, just the letter I got from Elaine Peterson that the annual town meeting warrant was open on January 12th and it's going to close on March 15th. I also sent out production calendars for January and February. And I'm hoping things will pick up in February, so, you know, to have more events to record, but that's hard to say at this point. I'd like to go back to the FY20 town report. Did anyone have any issues with it?
Yes, thank you.
Did you?
One or two. I mean, I can send you a marked up one, or I can tell you roughly what they are if we want to do it right now. Did other people manage to read it or not?
Yes.
I can actually open it up on my screen. For some reason it's, oh, here it is. Can you guys see that?
Not yet.
Not
Oh,
yet.
there it is.
There it is.
If you want to tell me what the edits are, I'll do them right now.
Okay, if anyone chime in, the second paragraph on the first page, it says town functions and meetings. I thought we probably should add school functions as well, because they tend to be treated separately in the town, you know what I mean? Wow, it's like having voice recognition. On the next page, there's a pie chart at the top. And I'm not sure either I misunderstood it or the numbers don't match. So it says making up 83% of all Channel 9 programming, and there's 64% shown on the pie chart. That may just be my confusion. If you can clarify, I'd be good with that.
Well, the paragraph starts out with it, what it's describing as categories. So several categories of local programming were provided on Channel 9. So it's about categories, which is the next pie chart going down.
Oh, okay. In that case, that was a clarification.
Okay.
You might want to then just put, wait, go back. According to the next picture, the next graph shows several categories of local programming were provided on Channel 9. So everyone understands that it's the
Should
next graph.
Should I put chart below?
Yeah, that works too.
Good.
Yeah, that would work well.
That way
Okay.
there, it answers the question and everyone goes, oh, okay. Because I looked at the top one too first and said, well, it must be inside, but it's okay.
So you did a better job than I did. Thank you. Okay. But I have, let someone else pick that one up. Sorry. On page Page 4, very bottom line. Okay. Talking baseball needs to close the quotes after baseball.
Ah, okay.
Oh, Joe,
Yes.
Jake and I would like to do a winter baseball show on the 25th if you're available.
I should be.
It's a Thursday night, same time usual.
5 o'clock?
Yes, just so this one that's on now doesn't run so long.
Okay.
We've got one, the Hall of Fame, big to-do just came up and we thought we'd have a good show out of that.
You're gonna
Okay.
mention Pedroia as well or not?
Sure.
See, I do pay attention occasionally.
What was his
Okay.
number? Okay, what was his number?
His number 12.
No, it was 15.
Well, I was
You
in
know-
the right
you know what, Jake,
decade. Give me a
that's good.
chance.
That's called partial attendance.
Well, actually, that was Brady's number. So.
Still is.
Still is, yeah.
Anything
So-
else?
Yep, on page 5, second paragraph.
Is this
I-
page 5?
I always get confused with these. Our studio
That's a
and
good
staff
point. That should give him that.
are equipped to assist in.
Okay.
It even gave you a little blue thing, right?
It did.
And then here comes the real fun. It's just going to get you into so much trouble. You wait and see.
Uh-oh.
Okay, in the summary, page 7, second paragraph, second line, last word.
It's.
Faith, you got any comment on that?
No pass, no, that's, there you go.
Okay, no apostrophe.
No apostrophe, it's not a possessive.
It is a possessive. Content of it. It's not a verb. It is. So, okay, the bottom, but one paragraph. One that says moving forward right on that line, consistent lineup of programming on each of our 3 Peg channels. Isn't that reasonable?
Yep.
And heaven
Another
forbid,
it's.
the bottom line of that paragraph.
It's again.
Does that cover everything?
It's everything I've got. Everyone else is open to compliment or criticize, as the case may be. Hearing silence. I'm not sure we need a vote or anything like that on that. Everybody good with it?
Yes,
Everybody happy that Joe did a good job with it?
outstanding.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. I will save that and submit it tomorrow.
Excellent.
Now, that is it for me. I can bring up for when we talk about it, the budget I can put up on screen as well.
Okay. So we have that as a separate item. So
Okay,
Um,
I'm all done then.
thank you. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you trying to work with Castus, even if you do get the entire mass access forum on their back. So
Yes, I did. I did set that on fire.
you rather did, and sometimes it's good to get some attention. So
Yeah.
I believe you succeeded in doing that.
Yes, I did.
So thank you, Joe. The next one on the TCP architect update, the architect that I've been working with, Joe, seems to be confused because he seems to think Joe or I, the experts on designing whatever projection requirements are in conference rooms, which we're not. And really, I'd had a meeting earlier in the month with Heather to try and make sure we have a common understanding of what Pacc's responsibilities are towards the conference rooms and what the town's responsibilities are towards the conference rooms, because the architect kept getting confused and putting things like Pacc budget in strange places. However, it's all gone quiet, which is interesting. And the real reason it's gone quiet is they're working on a schedule, the committee and the architects together. I'm not part of the committee, as I'm sure Pete remembers.
Yes.
I've actually been at about the last 5 committee meetings, which and sometimes they let me talk. Faith, you're trying to say something, but you're muted. No, you're still muted. You have to press the little button on the bottom left-hand corner. No, that's the one that turns the video off. Can I turn it on? Or, oh no, can you turn it on, Joe? Or can you unmute Faith? Joe?
I will try.
I just
There
did,
you
right?
go.
Okay, 2 meetings ago, as I recall, we voted to hire a studio consultant to work with the architects.
Actually, to work with us so that we could feed it to the architect, correct?
Okay, what happened to that?
Oh,
No, go ahead, Joe.
thank you. I reached out to a couple of firms, only get a response from one. The cost for using that firm was very reasonable. It came out to $1,200
Wow.
to consult with
Wow.
us. It's Robert Haig at Access AV.
My boy.
Yeah, he's really, really good. The quote he gave us is only good through February, at some point next week. I've done the paperwork and have the PO for his work to be done. We just have to give him the okay to come in and start.
Okay, because the reason I asked this was, could he also be, could he confer on the conference rooms?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Well, except that's the responsibility of either the architect or the committee and not us.
I understand, but it's
Okay.
still our responsibility to broadcast it to the public. So
it
so-
is. And that's what Joe's been working with Travis on, and I was involved to make
right,
sure
I-
we have a way of picking up both video and audio and presentations out of
Yeah.
all the conference rooms.
right. And so what you were talking about with the, sometimes the town says it's responsibility, or they say it's our responsibility to make sure that the conference rooms are correctly done. I would feel better if Mr. Haig could give some kind of assurance as to that it's being done correctly.
Yeah, but that's up, as I said, to the architect or the committee, not this committee, the TCP committee. However,
Mhm.
before we take this any further, the last meeting I was at, none of this came up. And the reason is they're working towards the town annual meeting, which is May the 1st, I believe. Somebody probably knows.
Yes, May 1st.
So they're working towards that. So they ran the best numbers they could based on selections of things like flooring, based on asbestos and lead paint remediation, sidewalks, parking lots. Am I missing anything, Joe? Air conditioning, all sorts of stuff. And they came up with a number of for the whole package, and I think it was a total of a 3-year project, maybe a bit less than that. Came up to $21 million, which is a public number because it was an open meeting, so it's out there. At which point I assumed that the color on my monitor had gone wrong because everybody went pale. So I don't know where this is going, but they've got the numbers they need for the moment. So Faith, I understand what you're saying. we don't need to do anything about it just yet.
Okay.
I don't know, Joe, if you feel we should get Robert to meet with us, maybe over Zoom, to get some general principles put down about the studio, but nothing's going to happen on that for at least 18 months.
Yeah, I think we should get him involved right away, and we should include Travis because they're both experts. And
Okay.
the scope of work for Robert at this point might be a lot smaller than we thought it would be, but he really will help us to
Right.
set up for the eventual studio.
Right.
So-
His work is basically the main studio, the kitchen studio, the master control room, and things like soundproofing, colors, light bars, drapes, and things like that.
Right.
So it's not your office. It's not the equipment room. So we want to keep him well set within his expertise, especially where we lack it.
Joe, would he be coming to one of our meetings?
Um, Probably Joe, I, and Travis should meet with him and get him set up, and then we could have him come to one of our meetings and tell us what he's proposing.
I'm just asking because I've been his friend for over 30 years and we haven't been able to get together for quite a while. I'd like to say hello.
Okay. Are you okay if we have a preliminary and then bring him to a meeting?
Sure.
Excellent. All I needed.
So his the fee, does he, because Steve just said, I mean, it won't be until 3 years. Obviously, I don't think Robert knows the timeline yet. Is the fee just for a year, or is it for the whole process until the studio starts to actually be built?
It's his role in this whole thing is a very limited scope. It's really just all this preliminary information that the architect is throwing out. We need to confirm it's going to work with a permanent studio. We need to, as Steve said, talk about some of the equipment going into the rooms, all preliminary. The scope of work for Robert is going to be very limited and short term, but who's to say, in the future, if we need more consulting, we could always request
Yeah.
it again.
Mhm.
Joe, actually, you got a second proposal from somebody who basically wanted to do the entire studio workout. Unfortunately, we don't have a building, and that was going to cost a fortune.
Right.
When we come to that point, Robert's probably in the loop, but we're going to have to go to an RFP type thing through Massachusetts state laws and put it out there to have a consultant working with us very specifically on the studios, including helping us with how to put up the framework for the lights and the drapes and anything special treatment for the walls or the floor, and where to put the wet bar. So
Well, speak.
Just the single malt.
yes, thank you, Peter. I
That's all
appreciate
you
that.
need.
Well, speaking of the studio, I wrote an article for the Ledger. I don't know if anyone saw it.
I did.
Great. But basically it was saying, I think the title was Public Access is Cooking Up a New Plan. And it just talked about our kitchen studio, really promoting it. So just an FYI, they ran it, I believe, last week. So.
Yep. Actually, it was. I thought I was very well quoted, seeing I never said anything to Joe at all about it. But
I just imagined what you would say.
she did a very good job of quoting me, which I really appreciate. So, what we were sort of looking for, hopefully, would have been a couple of people putting their hands up and saying we're interested, and then we could say to them, "Okay, get involved with us. What kind of stove, microwave, etc., etc." is needed, and what are you thinking of doing with it? Again, we're talking quite a long time before the building is ready for our occupancy.
Mhm.
The other big open question, there are two ways of doing this. One is to do a phased approach to the building, where basically they kick everyone out of one wing, reconstruct all of that, do the roof and everything else, while other people who are presently residents of the building carry on. That costs more. If they could kick everybody out, it would cost less. I have no idea how they would think they could do that. But we may end up having to move. Fortunately, the way our studio is structured, things like Ethernet and a cable drop are the most complex things, because pretty much everything else we can unplug, put in the back of a truck, and move to a different building. No idea where. Sorry.
Could we use the town hall, the meeting room, since we have a lot of equipment up there?
Not really, because they'll still be using it, because they won't have their new meeting rooms.
Yeah, but they use it usually in the evening, where the studios are often, used in the daytime.
Yeah, it may be possible. I'm just saying it's presently an issue that the committee, as I said, went pale when they had $21 million.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting questions, are you all ready to go pale as well, was roughly how much does it cost to demolish that building and put a brand new one up that's custom for what we're looking for? And they were fumbling around some numbers, and it's likely to be almost the same number. So
Oh.
quite where all of this is going, I don't know. They have
Mhm.
another meeting coming up. So we'll see how it goes. At the moment, I checked with Heather beforehand. There's not a snowball's chance in a hot oven or in Steve's backyard, by the look of it, that we will have any space, new space, permanent space for us in the next financial year. So that's going to affect the way we put the budget together.
Okay.
Everybody good? Questions? Yes, Steve. Oh yeah, that was a good. I like those.
Thumbs up.
Okay, I'm trying to get one on Pete's picture, but it won't go over.
Okay, well, what would the point be of demolishing it and building a new one in the same place?
Because that's, I believe, a 70-year-old building, which is going to be patched up. So we'll still have maintenance issues. I think the real point is if this isn't brought to the town meeting with a proper number,
Mhm.
somebody will put their hand up and say, what happens if we just, break it down and build a new one?
Right.
So,
I do think that we all realize anyone who's done a remodeling project, you don't know what you're going to see until you open the walls.
Yeah.
I know at the middle school, when they changed the tech ed department into 2 rooms, they went into the concrete foundation and they found pipes and electrical circuits that were
Really?
not in the plans, because when they built the building, obviously it was a Friday, and they said, instead of going around, we're just going to go through.
oh,
The high school had the same issue at
Right.
the old high school
Right.
with the heating system,
Yeah.
where the plans said one thing, and when they had an issue, they went in and discovered that they had cut corners.
That's
So
right.
with the patios,
Mm.
they're going to do the best they can, but when they open that wall, who knows what is behind it? A brand new building, they just tear it down and they just go, we need a handicap ramp, we need 14 walls, we need 6 feet of this, 7 feet of that, bang, 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 and it goes up.
And they
Right.
don't have to do the asbestos.
No, they still have to do
Yes,
this.
they do. Yes,
no,
they do.
asbestos has to be remediated
That's
anyway.
differently.
But
Because they can pre-buy everything.
the lead
cheaper.
paint doesn't. No, the lead paint, they can just,
Right.
but the
So,
asbestos
that's
is
the
an issue
difference.
anyway.
Yeah,
When
but
they
that's
opened up that building, they could discover that there are main supports that cannot support anything. And now all of a sudden, when we added something to our house, all of a sudden we needed a $10,000 I-beam, 22-foot custom-made I-beam to hold my one side of my house up.
That's actually in there because
Okay.
when you start doing a lot of work to a building, if it's over 10%, I believe is the number, you have to come up to code.
Yeah.
Right.
And that building does not come up to seismic code.
Oh.
So that means they have to restructure all the vertical walls, the
Yeah,
load
retrofit.
bearing ones, and they have to redo the roof anyway, so that will be done as well. There is also, of the 21 million, I think 3 million was contingencies.
Okay.
Not sure if that helps all the pipes buried in the concrete.
But that's the difference. You
Yeah.
know, they just
No,
tear
absolutely.
it down. They just go, we need, A, B,
Right.
and C. Remodeling.
So the good news is we let the TCP building reuse committee worry about all this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just there in case they have a question of our needs and to also find out just where things are, and that's where things are.
Steve,
Yes.
if we're kicked out of our space at Pasio's while this work is taking place, do we still have to pay the $6,000 a month rent?
Only if they provide
I mean-
us with appropriate accommodation somewhere, I would say. But
Yeah.
I don't know. This was brought up right before it became single malt time and I left the meeting.
But we should keep it in the budget anyway.
Yes, because it's not going to happen that quickly. So
Okay.
we should keep it in the budget anyway. So, okay, everybody good or as good as we can get?
One
Isn't
other thing, Steve.
Yeah.
I just read in the same ledger that Joe was in, that the skate park is still planning to go up next to the Passios. Wouldn't that be a problem for us with sound?
Depends where they put it.
Right next to, they've already got the lot picked out.
I thought it was at the next to Conrad's at Marshall Park. They were
In the
building
paper,
a skate park.
this week, they said that's what it's going.
The park commission offered up Marshall Park to the skate committee, but they did, from what I heard, and I'm not sure I'm 100% right, but I heard that the skate committee declined.
Yeah.
So I think they're still going into TC Passios, but if it's in the space that they originally planned, that's on the side of the building where the town offices are. It won't affect any sound where we are.
We're being moved across the corridor from where we presently are.
Yeah.
But the other piece, the top left-hand corner or the northwest corner, if you use Kumpai, is parking lot. They're putting in a whole extra new parking lot up in there. So I think it'll have to be reviewed. And hopefully at that time, if they put it somewhere, noise-wise, it's an issue. We've been raising that from day one. We'll raise it again. You're right to bring it up. Thank you, Pete.
Well, the committee came and talked to the senior center about it because we're concerned that the kids be so near the seniors.
Yeah.
And they were adamant that it be next to the Passios because they're concerned about the protection of the property. Apparently these sorts of things, if they put out in parks, Marshall Park or down on Townsend Harper, there's damage to them.
They get vandalized. Right.
They would have more police protection being in the center of town.
Okay. I think it has to be reviewed in the light of the whole TCP reuse anyway. So where it is at the moment is probably a little bit arbitrary.
Right.
But you're right.
I just saw
don't want the noise. No, thank you.
Yep.
So, okay, everybody good? Joe, would you like to play with the budget for a while?
Sure. Let me see if I can get a screen share up. Here we go. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Actually, we can.
Great. Pardon me. All right. Where to begin? Um,
Salaries?
all right, we'll start with, I'm trying to put your, I'm trying to put the Zoom meeting somewhere where it doesn't interfere with the sheet here. Yes, I met with Karen. We originally had, the cost of salaries was 80,000. However, under the indirect costs, there is 1,200. Whoops, I have to move this. There is an additional $1,224, and it's escaping me right now.
It's right at the top. You've got the change number. But
Right.
I don't know what the $1,200 is to do with, why it's not in the indirect cost thing we pay once a year anyway.
Well, that came out of the indirect costs, the additional $1,224. And I'm trying to find it here. It might be this number here. The Medicare tax, most likely, although,
In which case that should be removed from there, otherwise we're double accounting.
I am going to have to look into that number again. Because I have G5 and G6 listed as the difference. G5 and G6. Hold on a second. Let me just,
Is that the dog on a treadmill?
yeah, for some reason, I don't know where that number came from. 685, that's 493. Yeah, I'm not sure where that number came from. I'm going to have to refer to Karen again. I'm sorry about that. Refer to, talk to her.
Is she going to be at our meeting tomorrow? Everyone should know Joe and I have been summoned to town hall at 3:00 tomorrow to talk about the budget.
Yes, she will be there.
Okay.
Okay. The second line down, we have budgeted 22,000 to videographers.
Mm-hmm.
What is that noise? Oh.
Somebody have noise in the background?
I might have noise in the background.
Can you mute yourself and then unmute if you need to speak?
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. All the other numbers we kept the same as when I sent them out to you. So purchase of services is 5,000. Consultant services is 5,000. Advertising is 1,800. Office supplies is 1,000. Equipment maintenance and supplies are 20,000. And the new equipment is 120,000.
But we agreed to take that down to 30, I seem to remember, because we only had that sitting there in case we got our space. Now we're confident we don't get our space that quickly. So I believe we put it down to 30. I'm still confused, and I hope we can clear this up tomorrow, that we have money that we don't use in the budget has to be requalified before we can use it. And yet the whole point of going to the fund that we went to is we could at least budget against it, even if we didn't have it, because it's money we can reasonably expect to have. So I don't know what's going on there, but
Well,
bringing that,
well, the recertification process is going to be different this year. We can go ahead and budget that money and have it after the recertification.
okay. I
This-
didn't
this-
get that from what was said before. Okay.
Now, this year's certification may take up to 2 weeks. Last year's certification took up to 4 months.
Right. I thought usually it was at least 6 weeks, maybe 8. I thought it was into July or August. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's moot as long as we don't feel obliged to earmark 120 in case we accidentally get our new space.
Right. So now that you changed that number to 30,000, it changes our expenditures to our total expenses to 228,666.
But the number above that is our operations expense, right?
Yes.
And that's the number that we have to make sure is less than our expected income, which it is.
Right.
Okay, so we're in good shape.
Yes. So the Comcast revenue, we changed to 196,837 based on the approximate number of, it says at the bottom here, based on $49,000 average each quarter. So 196,837 was the number.
Okay,
We changed the interest from $3,000 to $2,500.
this is you and Karen, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And
So I'm confused by retained earnings of 120 because isn't the retained earnings everything in the whole budget that we didn't spend at the end of June?
yes,
So that's not 120 because we don't have our part-time technician.
no, it is the number that goes into the budget comes from retained earnings, but we only take out the amount of retained earnings that brings the budget back to zero. The rest of the money is available, but it's not in the budget. Does that make any sense?
Sure.
Actually, it doesn't to me, but that may not mean anything.
Maybe let me say it.
Okay, yeah, have another go.
All right. One more go. After doing Pacc expenses and the total Peg Access Enterprise expenses, that number is what we need in the budget. Then we took the revenue and retained earnings and came up with the number that we need, which is 228,866. Oh, I'm sorry. Then we took the number, we take out of retained earnings, the number we need to get to 228,866. That's all we take out of retained earnings.
I'm sorry, this is seriously confusing. We have a lot of money in our account
Right,
that we have not budgeted this present year.
right.
All of that's available.
It's all available.
Secondly, the budget number that we have, we're not going to spend all of it, neither operations nor capital, by the end of June. So everything that's left in there on the 31st of June, one of my favorite dates, is thank you. Everything that's left in there has to be recertified. And that is not 120,000 because that's only the capital piece of it. We don't have a part-time technical person, whatever,
Right.
whose number is, his number is quite a lot. 20, oh no, that's the difference. I don't see it separately here. It's the difference between your salary and the new person's salary, including all their medical, worst case medical situation. So somewhere, as you know, this continues to drive me nuts every time we do this. I think we have to not worry about how we get the money that we need. We need that tomorrow with Karen and Heather, make sure we're all on the same page. But we do need everything down that far. So the 220,000, it says retained earnings. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, what,
Total PEG, hang on, total PEG access enterprise, line 38.
right,
That's the budget that we need to approve tonight, unless anyone, I mean, we're still all open for discussion.
exactly.
So that includes Joe, includes the new part-time person in the event we can find one, includes some smaller amount of capital, and includes everything else that we need typically to run Pacc for the next 12 months. Is that making sense?
Can I take one more stab at clarifying one?
Feel free.
Okay,
Joe, it's single malt time. Be careful.
Yeah, getting real close, real close.
all right. On P42, which is 196,837.
Yeah,
That's the Comcast revenue.
correct.
The interest is below it is 2,500. That's from
Right.
our enterprise fund. The 21,529 would come out of retained earnings.
It doesn't have to, but if it can, fine.
It
We've still got 500,000 tucked in our enterprise account. Why doesn't it come out of that?
it is coming out of that.
So it's not coming out of retained earnings. This is where certainly I'm confused still. What we're doing with retained earnings, we're still somewhat left over from the revenue fund where we had to be very careful because we weren't allowed to budget.
We basically have over $600,000 or $700,000 in retained earnings.
No, that's not retained earnings. That's in the enterprise fund because we never budgeted it. It only goes into retained earnings if it was budgeted and not used. You can't put that number in there every year. That's
No.
our bank account.
No,
So
exactly. But we have to take out of that for retained earnings to come up to the budget number that we need, which in this case is $21,529.
I'm sorry, the 500,000 or so we have in our account didn't get budgeted.
Right.
So why is it retained earnings? It's already in the account. It's already been approved. This is where I'm getting stuck.
Well, maybe tomorrow your meeting with Karen can clarify it.
That's a maybe, but we can try. Thank you, Faith.
I'm sorry, I'm unable to clarify it for
That's
you.
all right. That's why you'll be at the meeting as well.
Okay.
Do you need a motion to approve the budget?
What I believe we need is a motion to approve the detailed budget and the final number of 220,866 without us at this point going into where the money is coming from.
Right. Well, I make that motion.
Now I'll second it.
That sounds like a plan. Is there any further discussion?
Steve, could I ask, after you meet tomorrow, If the
Yeah.
committee could receive any information from that, if there's any refusals or complications or changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and let me give you a couple of dates as well. Actually, Joe gave you one. The warrant is not due till, I believe, the 15th of March,
Hmm.
if I've got it right. And we have another meeting coming up on either March the 1st or 2nd, depends whether we do the Monday or the Tuesday. On March the 11th, we are again summoned to the a Zoom conference with the FinCom to present the Pacc budget. So what I'm trying to say by giving you those dates, we still have one more meeting if we need one to get
Okay.
it tied up.
Okay.
We can take this as provisional. We can take this as the expense budget without approving the income piece of the budget at this point, and we're still okay on dates. Is that all right by people?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, just trying to manage this carefully. Joe also has the responsibility of keeping me calm tomorrow. Can you do that, Joe?
I will try.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, because
So do we need to vote on this?
yes, we do, on the expense budget for financial year 22 of $220,866.
It's been seconded.
It's been seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, can you go back to the regular screen, please, Joe?
Sure, 1 second, let me just,
Oh, I brought up a little one. That's okay.
let me, save that and then stop the share. Okay, got it.
Oh, there we go. People all over my screen. So by roll call, all those in favor, Pete,
Aye.
Jeff. You're muted, but I saw your hand wave. Snowy Steve, I like your background. Thank you, Jeff.
Aye.
And Faith,
Aye.
thank you all. So, and I'm I as well. So that's unanimous. So if the minutes can show that, that also authorizes us inherently to be able to discuss this tomorrow with Heather and Karen in person, which is a little frightening. So we shall manage. Okay. That I believe ends the amount of budget discussion we can have at this point. The next meeting I have on the agenda is March the 2nd, which is Tuesday. Is that what you're still looking for, Jeff, or can we go back to Monday?
Monday will work.
March the 1st.
That's the first. And
Everybody all right with March the 1st?
back to 6 o'clock.
We can also do that. I'm assuming we're also Zooming it, right?
Yes.
I'm just really hoping Peter finds time to take his Christmas tree down before.
That's a Coke tree, Steve.
It's a what?
That is a Coke tree.
Coke? You
It's a
mean
Coke.
like?
every decoration on there is Coca-Cola.
Oh, I thought you meant like marijuana.
And,
Okay,
no, and we leave it up till Valentine's Day every year.
good for you. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, in that case, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So seconded.
No discussion needed. All those in favor by hands.
Aye.
There we go. Thank you all very much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
And
Have a
we'll
great
send,
evening.
if we have a fun meeting tomorrow, we'll send something out.
Okay.
Good luck with your meeting tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joe needs the luck. She's gonna have to manage me because this is driving me nuts. So, thank you all. Feel free to kill the meeting, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy malt night.
Yeah, thank you.